Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and to Thursday evening, the 4th of the 2nd, and here we are in February. February has hit us smack straight in our face, and I tell you what, it's a beautiful day outside. I did my normal walk and talk this morning, and it was super. It was fantastic. One of the words of inspiration that I got this morning, and I'll just share this even on this evening, was while I was walking, I was contemplating about Captain Tom Moore, and Captain Sir Captain Tom Moore passed away. He said something like, "Tomorrow will be a better day. Tomorrow is a good day." And that was really profound, the way how he said tomorrow is going to be a good day, tomorrow will be a proper day. We're going to talk about this later. And it was somewhat very intriguing and very enlightening that a gentleman who has lived 100 years achieved so much in his lifetime, but he achieved so much in the last days as well. So when COVID attached itself to him, it made no difference because he served and he lived a good innings. That I had to ask the question, when is a good day? Is it yesterday, today, tomorrow? Is it tomorrow what we are living in now? There are many times when people say, tomorrow I will be this, tomorrow I'll be that. And when we look back, somebody could be a doctor and they wanted to be a doctor tomorrow. Is this their tomorrow they are living in? Somebody want to be a professional lawyer when they were small, tomorrow. And so that is a good day. And so ladies and gentlemen, what I'm saying is today is a good day, as Captain Tom Moore said. But we're going to talk about that later. But anyway, without further ado, in review, and we're going to get our guests to come on board, which is Dr. David. First of all, let's just bring in Keisha. Keima.
Hello, Sylbourne. How are you?
I'm good. I had a good day today, and just to make sure that I myself, I say Keima, because I was.
It must be one or the other, isn't it?
It must be one or the other. No, I cannot.
I'm not Keisha and I'm not Keima. So what's that all about? I wasn't expecting me to be popping up right now. Good evening.
So David is David, but here's a star. Here's a star lady, and her name is Keisha.
Hello, I'm here. I made it.
Yeah, David, can you repeat that? That's Keima, yes? And that's Keisha.
That's Keisha.
I'm pointing up. I see what I'm doing.
Where's the point? Show me which way you're pointing, This way.
Yeah, okay. Top is Keima. Keisha.
Oh, Lord, help us.
Bottom. I'm trying to get it.
You got to get this one.
Where's the finger going? Anyway, I don't know what that. Anyway, guys, how are you doing? How's everybody else?
All good.
We're doing well.
Yes.
We're glad to be here.
Well, you know what? I after listening to Captain Tom Moore, and we did a clapping last night, you realize that at the end of the day, we are in a good place, Unfortunately, many people may not say that, but we got to give thanks to God for his grace and his mercies. And sometimes I say to myself, all the people that have passed away, they did not die in vain. There's a legacy which is going to be there in front of. What's your observation of that, especially regarding Sir Captain Tom Moore, guys?
Keisha.
Keisha. David is face.
No, my observation is, he's left a lasting legacy, and he's such an inspiration to everyone. He is what I would describe as a national hero, and we need a hero at this time. In the season that we're in, this pandemic we're going through, is good to see someone who rose up in the midst of everything, and campaign for the our care workers, the NHS, etc. And he went all out. I may add that he's part of the military service, the military community. So he's left a lasting legacy on us, and this is how, if you're going to go out, I think this is the way how to go out. How to live, impacting lives significantly.
Yes. And David.
Yeah, I mean, I can't just say it any better, really. Somebody who, in the latter part of their life, had sort of significance, but obviously throughout the whole of their life would have had a significance, but obviously in the latter part, his whole greatest significance for the large majority of people who wanted a hero, and obviously he was that. He got to live a long life that isn't afforded to most, and made a really, really big impact. But I think going to the top, we all have a legacy, and we all have an imprint on this world. But at this moment in time, as I say, he had a really good contribution. Seemed like a really kind-hearted person. Obviously, I don't know him personally, but through his actions, and I think actions speak louder than some words in this regard. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's great, and hopefully he got to live out some of the things that he wanted to in the latter part of his life, and it didn't sort of jeopardize the things that he wanted to do. I think broadly, from this, what I take is that we do all each have to live our own lives, despite the issues that are taking place and around the world. And so it's key that we do try and realize the things that we want to do, the dreams that we have are not to be put on hold because of the fact that we have this virus causing the issues, and the response that we've had to the virus can attempt to put the things that you want to do on hold, but you've really got to hold fast, to hold true to the things that you want to do. And if you want to be that lawyer at the top of the Stuart, you talked about, be that lawyer, be that doctor, be whatever it is that you want to be. You can't let these kind of times hold you back from that. And what I do think is that it shows you that you can reinvent an idea. I'm sure Captain Moore may not have had the idea of raising so much money for charity had COVID not been an issue. And again, we may well not be embarking on discussions that we're having this evening. We may not have all decided to become part of the setup of the Sylbourne show, and people may well not have decided to take up pastimes that they may well have now taking up. So we're top of the food chain as people, as humans, and we find ways to navigate situations. And I think Captain Tom Moore was just a proof of that in the way that he went about his life.
And Keima, your observation on the captain?
Well, for me, I think ultimately it's his humility, and he passed away, being very humble individual. I mean, his grandson actually said today, I believe, that he didn't expect anything in return. When he raised all that money for the NHS, he was just doing it because he felt it was the right thing to do. And I think that for me is my takeaway from him and his legacy. How much impact he has achieved already in his own personal achievement, being in the armed forces, being a captain in the armed forces. But it's his selflessness, I think, for me, that it's such a good human being. Because sometimes we don't get that. That good-natured individual, to me, is the legacy that I'll take away from that humility. So I think it's well deserved in terms of his legacy and him treated as a hero, because as Keisha mentioned, we do need a hero in this time. There's so many people who have passed away as a result of COVID, but when you think of him and what he's achieved, you think, well done.
It's interesting you mentioned about that we need an hero at this time, because everybody's looking up to a central figure. What's the figure that people are looking up to? I mean, are we seeing the Queen as a embodying figure? Are we seeing Boris as an embodying figure? Who is it that demonstrate or channel some level of hope that people can look towards? Do we see anybody at this time?
That's a good question. It depends on what your frame of reference is. Do you, positivity. How do you look at that in terms of the people that are out there? Well, what I do think is that people obviously set out camps, and you either love, say, Boris, or you dislike him. And I don't know that this particular situation is going to make you feel one way or the other in regards to him as a leader. I think people do have affections for the Queen, but obviously that depends on whether you feel the monarchy is something that's to be strengthened or otherwise. So, I mean, who do you look to at times of need? I think there's got to be a lot to be said from local people to look up to. So, if you're in the church, for example, you're looking up to the ministers in terms of their guidance and support. And you're looking for friends and family as in regards to your support as well. So don't forget about the your local bubbles. You'll have ideas of people you can turn to at times of need, and they will be able to give you advice, give you the strength that you need to move on through these testing times. So I don't know that there's a national figure that I look up to, but I'm just inspired by people who are proactive, people who are positive, and people who want to move things forward. It's as simple as that for me. It doesn't have to be a celebrity. And I think that's what is the beautiful about the Sir Tom Moore story, is that you wouldn't have looked at him particularly if you were walking past him in the street and said, oh, I'm going to look up to that guy. This is just somebody who decided to serve a greater purpose by doing something selflessly for the population at large. So we can be our great leaders. It's not, you don't have to look up to the Borises and the Queens, as you mentioned there. I think you have people in your communities who will be able to push things forward, and you can look upon them and say, wow.
And it's interesting what you said right there, that we don't have to look up to anyone. And I believe the whole COVID has sort of leveled the playing field, isn't it, to a certain extent, in many ways, whereby it's no respect of persons, and therefore anyone actually can be affected. And we all find ourselves aiming for the same ventilator. Really, everybody's going for that same ventilator, but it all depends on who is on the front of the line, or who's a consultant. Sorry, David, that's what I've been hearing. Whoever's the consultant that determines who gets that ventilator at the same time.
That's controversial, Sylbourne.
It is controversial, but I've been hearing that. But David, don't have to answer that if you want.
Well, I think the one thing I will say is that when we're making decisions, it's very tough decisions to be made within a health service, within a health setting, and that decision is very individualistic. I'm talking about in terms of patients here, not the person making those decisions, and they're very tough decisions to make. What I would say is I would hope that it wouldn't come down to the idea of having just a one ventilator available for one particular person, and that's the whole reason. That's the whole reason why there has been this kind of Save the NHS campaign when it comes to, or protecting, not saving, but protecting the NHS when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think we're probably let's touch on that. We're probably going through a positive spell. Let's pick up that positivity from Captain Tom Moore and say, look, things are going in the right direction.
Well, what Captain Tom Moore said, his favorite words are, remember, tomorrow is a good day. Tomorrow you'll be maybe find everything will be much better than today. Those are some deep words. I really dig into that this morning in my walk on the street this morning. And it was just really so profound what that is. But ladies and gentlemen, those on Instagram, I want to thank you so much for coming on. Instagram, it's live on Sylbourne TV on YouTube. If you want to see the lovely faces of Keima, Keisha, and Dr. David Burton, of course, they're much better than I am. And if you want to go onto Facebook, you can also see that as well. But I want to also pinpoint something here. And I went to the walk. I don't know if you guys went to the clapping yesterday.
Sylbourne lost himself again.
I don't know what he did to us. I can't see.
he went for a walk and then he disappeared.
Yeah, who went for the walk? Who went for the clapping yesterday? Who clapped for Tom Moore at 6 o'clock?
Do we have to admit? Do we have to own up, or it's a general statement? That is.
It's a general statement. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, carry on then.
I unfortunately was in clinic, so I couldn't attest to clapping, but I did remember.
Well, as an ambassador of the people, and one who's an ambassador of my street, as a neighborhood watch chair for my street here, I took the liberty,
neighborhood watch for the
I took the liberty, ladies and gentlemen, of actually doing the clapping yesterday, and asked my daughter to do a video. So let's look at it. Sir Tom Moore, rest in peace. All the best. Thank you. Great guy. You did a fantastic stuff. All the best to you. Rest in peace. And and condolences to the family, and all the best. Thank you. Did you like that?
That's a beautiful clip, Sylbourne.
Yeah. How was my daughter? How was it?
Well done to your daughter.
Yes. She was a bit shaky, her hands at certain points, but I didn't mind. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, we haven't noticed, so I thought it was an expert doing that.
Oh no, no.
Ah,
It's my 9-year-old daughter was doing that there, and I found the Morse's code, which I believe was very appropriate because of the war days, you know. And something I was thinking about is that I don't watch cricket. I don't know about you guys, and my father usually say, "You're the only boy I have that don't like cricket," because in Jamaica everybody watches cricket. You know what I'm saying? And when I was thinking about Sir Tom Moore, one of the things that struck me was that at the end of his days, he was hitting sixes, man. Sixes. He was just hitting sixes just like that. And that was really powerful. So, you know, I was saying at one point that the TV was overshadowed and everything was on Tom Moore, but I do recognize that even Biden, Sleepy Joe, even actually sent a message, you know what I'm saying? Man, I'm missing America. Listen, I miss American politics so much, man. It's so boring. The world is so boring. Trump 2020, David.
It's so quiet now, isn't it?
It's so quiet. Anyway, Sir Tom Moore, thank you very much. All the best. So listen, guys, before we go on to America, we have to find something juicy about American politics because the world is so dry now, man. And I'm saying, you know, COVID. Where's that terrorist now, David? The terrorist is still active. I mean, the government said recently that the Bank of England economy to rebound strongly due to the vaccine.
There you go. You've taken one of the three things I was going to just touch on. And, you know, in the spirit of Tom Moore and positivity, we're going to start with right there. Economy's bouncing back in 2021. As you said, Bank of England have no hesitation in putting this information out there. And I think we should be happy. We should be positive, and we should look to, you know, reinvest our money in the economy, look to go out and spend when the timing is right. Timing may be right now if you're going to buy houses. You know, obviously there's a stamp duty freeze, and I'm not saying that we should all go out and lavishly spend money. If you've got money and you saved it diligently and you want to make that risk, then do it. But the point I'm trying to make is this year the Bank of England's projection is for us to rebound quite quickly and positive because of, why is that? Well, because of the vaccination program. And, you know, for the first time in terms of the number of confirmed cases, there's a second tidbit, the second bit of positivity. Confirmed cases around the world, 103 million, I think it is. The number of vaccinations has surpassed that globally, 105 million. A degree of positivity. We're moving in the right direction. Again, you know, I don't think that is something to be scoffed at in terms of moving from no vaccine to a vaccine.
Yes.
Me speculating that this vaccine wouldn't be out, but it came out very quickly and it's safe, and that's being utilized. So 105 million, I think the correct figure is, in terms of surpassing the number of cases. So that's a huge, significant figure. The last thing is, in terms of side effects, you could look at this from both ways. Reported side effects for the vaccination, 1 in 3 cases reported side effects. But the side effects are not severe. So that's the positive. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. Side effects are not severe. You know, they range from pain in the arm, discomfort, nausea, you know, feeling hot and sweaty.
Yes.
You know, you could argue feeling hot and sweaty is a severe thing, but what I'm saying is it's not severe enough for there to be a real issue of bringing you into the hospital because of taking the vaccination in a significant event. So, you know, degrees of positivity. You know, vaccinations, yes, affects 1 in 3 people in terms of reported side effects, but they're not severe side effects. That's the reports that's just been released recently. Bank of England, top of the program, doing well, saying that we're going to be bouncing back real quick. And I said, we have now surpassed the number of cases in terms of vaccinations. So we've 105 million vaccinations, 103 million people confirmed COVID cases. That's a great statistic because it means we're taking up the vaccine and we're moving in the right direction.
I tell you what I picked up. There's one thing I'll say about David. We asked a question earlier: who embodies the positive energy that we can look up to? And David, the way you started that, I saw the answer right there, because you started off, and I'm not kidding. Don't laugh, guys. Don't laugh. This is very serious. We're in a very serious moment here now. You know, I mean, the way you started, I was like, yes, that's it, positive. And you know what? we all need that positive energy. We need that positive energy at this time because, guys, listen, I've been anti-vaccine. I've been the resistance. My fox is even digging holes on the back garden, which I thought it was there, and it was part of the resistance movement. I know I said to them, just easy because I'm not sure. I'm sort of having a mixed feelings now. I'm sort of warming up in a certain way. So the foxes are actually still digging. All these years, it was part of the resistance movement for the tunnel. Whenever the zombies come out, but the zombies may not come out to play. Keisha.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to pick up on that. Actually, it's a good point. David, your startup was quite good because I was just reflecting on the fact that where there's life, there's hope, and we're in a situation where we've been going through this for such a long time now. But the fact that we're still alive, or we're in the land of the living, we should be hopeful for a better day, as Sir Thomas More has said.
Yes,
tomorrow will be better. What else?
Oh, the fox is gone.
Happened to me?
Fox is
Can you
gone.
hear me?
Okay, you're back. You're back now. You're back.
What I was going to ask, I don't know what happened there. What I was going to ask David though, is the vaccine in America, is it different from the vaccine in the UK? Do you know? And the only reason
So
I'm asking,
you mentioned that. Okay, why do you ask? Is the question, I guess.
because I'm hearing a lot of negativity from that other side regarding, a lot of people saying they're not taking it, and I'm not sure. I mean, to me, never mind the negativity around Black people not taking, or the Black community not taking the vaccine here. I don't know who they questioned or surveyed last time, but certainly not me. But people who are around me are quite keen on taking this vaccine. But the negativity I'm hearing regarding taking the vaccine is actually from the US side, and I'm not sure if there are different types of vaccine going.
So I can't speak on the US side. I know that in terms of the UK, we have 3 vaccines, possibly coming on to 4. I have to correct myself, that have been passed for UK use. So I'm aware that the Pfizer vaccine is available in the US. So I don't know what their particular hesitation or problem is. But in this instance, in terms of looking for guidance, you got to look around the rest of the world. USA isn't just the world, obviously; it's around the rest of the world, and the uptake is being taken around the rest of the world. You've got Europe wanting more vaccinations, and you've heard, last week there was issues in terms of the supply and tug and war of vaccines. So you've got to think, well, why is it that's the case? And then also you've got to think outside the box. The world isn't just Europe and Europe plus the UK. I'm going to say now. So with a heavy heart, I say that Europe plus the UK and the USA. But Russia. You got to think about Asia as well. India, big economies looking to take their own hands and make their own vaccines, or at least procure their own vaccines from other countries as well. So the idea of not wanting to support a vaccine, I think, is a poor idea in itself. Yes, I think there has to be questions asked regards to any particular type of medication that is utilized in any population. But the fact is, this has been deemed safe. It's been deemed effective. And the other bit of positivity that I would reflect on is the question marks regarding transmission and the vaccine. Well, there's supporting evidence now to suggest that transmission rates are on the decline as well with regards to uptake, with regards to the vaccination. So let's be positive about things. We've got something that seems to be working, is safe, and if you cast your mind back many weeks, months ago, I said there are 2 requisites to having a vaccination. It has to be safe and it has to be effective. I'm going to say that again. It has to be safe, has to be effective. Maybe if I keep saying it again, people will get it. It has to be safe, has to be effective. And if it's safe and effective, then I have no particular concerns. And people can question the safety element, and that's fair for them to judge. But the data is backing up in terms of the effectivity. And as I said at the middle part of the program, I feel that this is a safe vaccine. And the vaccine that I had was the Pfizer vaccine. Obviously, you've got the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine as well, and the Moderna vaccine too. So let's just get the good vibes. I like it. Let's get the good vibes and push on forward with positivity. Because at the end of the day, I don't know what the concerns of the Americans are. I can only speak for local concerns, which are now seem to be diminishing daily, because we know that that things are moving in a positive direction. It's hard not to be positive when things are positive. We're starting from a low benchmark. I get it. People are in a position whereby we've had to give up our lives for the past year. We've had to essentially isolate, and we've had to do other things, wear masks, not socialize, all those things. So the starting point is low. Don't get me wrong. We were up here celebrating 2020, looking at the great new beginnings that were going to occur, and then boom, we got hit. But now we're here, we can look forward with a degree of positivity, and I think we should just do that.
And in addition to that, regarding positivity, I've read in the news today that we are more likely to get back into school or send the children back into school first week or second week in March, sometime around that time. So I think that's good news.
I think so too.
For the time
being. I think so too.
I mean, what they're saying is that they were saying don't ease the lockdown. I mean, Starmer is saying don't ease the lockdown restriction too soon. Starmer saying,
it's true.
It's
true. And I've got to also look out for the teachers as well. They've worked diligently hard throughout this pandemic.
Yeah.
A lot of people have worked hard, but I'm going to give a shout out to the teachers as well, because even through some of the holidays, they've been providing care as well to critical workers. And I've got to give them a shout out. They work their hardest. They're trying to rescheduling a school is no mean effort. You're going from entertaining kids, 30 kids in a class, 20 kids, whatever it is, to then delivering online facilities. I'm not saying we've always got it right, but you've got to think about the dynamics of how you get that set into stone. Entertaining a 5-year-old is hard at the best of times, never mind being online. So I just think that they've worked hard and worked diligently. They'll need a rest, a good rest as well when the time comes for it. But at the same time, safe environments for kids to get back to.
Well,
I think
if we're gonna stick on being positive, go on, Keisha. Sorry.
No, I was going to say again, if we're going to stay on being positive, if we can say any good thing coming out of the pandemic so far is we're beginning to appreciate more the ones the people that we've actually been taking for granted for years, like our teachers, our nurses, our care workers, and now we can begin to see they are the heroes throughout the process, throughout what's happening around us as well. So yes,
we need to also shout out to the parents as well, because they've actually joined in. I mean, I'm actually the principal, and my wife is the head teacher. While I'm working, I was like, "Wait, go to school," And I mean, Dion is right there as well. I mean, she will attest to that. So it's a partnership, I believe, where my parents.
But we're all heroes in our little way, and even the kids are heroes. The kids are heroes, definitely.
But the thing about it, there is one parent who was saying that he's become an IT expert all of a sudden, because now everybody is on laptop and he needs to be able to figure out how to switch the computer on, to get the cameras working, all of this going on. So I think to some extent as well, parents to having to juggle, and a lot of parents are working from home as well. They're expected to do a 9-to-5 job, and in that 9-to-5, teach as well and make sure that they're doing their homework. And if you've got some very, very good teachers as well, they're making sure, because one of my daughter's teacher, they call me all the time. How is Kyra getting on, for example? How is she getting on? And so you've got to upload the homework and all of that sort of stuff.
Every day you've got to upload homework, yeah.
So I think the question I'll ask the persons as well, and Paula Powell and Francis Derma, and those you may have seen some comments there, like Gaming Unicorn. As you can see, I don't know if you can guess who those persons are. Those are my children actually signing in.
Gaming Unicorn say, I am a fan.
Well, they have no choice, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But no, if we're going to stick on positivity, and I think there's so much, we talked a lot anyway about things that we should be feel very positive about in the midst of all this, the difficult time that everybody is going through. And, one of the things that, of course, we've heard is that a lot of people are able to save a lot more money. So they're not doing the commute as such. And a lot of people are able to work from home. So they're saving a lot more in childcare, for example. So, I mean, of course, the Treasury will be looking towards the end of the pandemic, where people will be able to splurge go out on a spending spree and put more money into the economy. So that is probably one of the things as well that we'll be probably looking forward to when things open up again. But of course, on the vaccine front, I think it's fantastic news that it's probably over 50% of the 80-year-olds already have the vaccine.
Right.
And I think last week when I spoke, I did mention that my granddad was quite reluctant to take it. And I'm quite pleased that he took it. I think he went late because he was a bit reluctant in the morning, but something clicks in his head upstairs by midday and he went and he took it. And he was so pleased and delighted that he took it in the end. So I think some of the anti-vaccine messages that we're hearing sometimes is just it's not exactly a good message that's going out there, but I think it's fantastic when people are able to take it and realize, you know what, it's done me good rather than what we've been hearing out there. So it's quite great. And I think the win this week, you know, I've heard, I don't know how we would take it, but I think I had to put a smile on my face. I mean, I was never a Brexiter. I was always somebody who support the Remain front. But where, for example, now we are far ahead when it comes to the vaccine, and Europe were trying to get the vaccination, and we are ahead with vaccinating more people. More people. You think, oh, the vaccines are like, yes, they made the right decision, and you never Remainers
secretly excited. Just
Remainers are
yourself, Sylbourne. Clap for yourself.
So for that moment, whether it's wrong or right or not, you kind of feel, whoa, somebody's happy here.
You saw the writings on the wall, and that is why we had to make sure get Brexit done. I mean, somehow there's a property element thing, and you know, and even America, nobody can even blame Trump. You know what I mean? Because Trump is not there. But here, Michelle, let's bring in Michelle here. Michelle is in the States, and what she said is that here in the USA, the CDC is saying the children doing online schooling are more likely to get COVID-19 than the children that's in the classroom. Is there? Can you see some rationale in that, David? I don't know.
No, I think she'll have to post the article for me to comment any further on that. I can't see the rationale.
Yes.
If you're in front of a computer by yourself, I'm not sure how you'd pick up.
Yeah. Well, there was a guy with a video, and the video was a joke video, and the video was the guy talking to this guy and said, "Listen, man, don't take that thing there. I just got a call from somebody and Corona gun in my ears." and the guy was saying, "And before you take this call, also make sure you disinfect." Yeah, and the guy said, "What?" You know, so some crazy people going on. When Michelle is saying, "I don't trust the government and I don't trust the CDC, so I'm totally anti-vaccine." Listen, that is still going on.
CDC?
That is the health.
The Center of Disease Control.
Yeah, so Michelle is in the States, isn't it? And I think this comes back to Keisha's very point, where there is so much, there's a lot of news around that, where people are very much reluctant to take the vaccination for whatever reason that might be.
Can you ask Michelle, what are the vaccine? What's the brand? What do you call it? David, you know, like we've got Pfizer over here. What are is it the same?
I think America. I don't think America has developed any. I think they keep saying it's a Pfizer thing. Well, I don't know. I mean, Michelle, I don't know which one it is, Michelle. I don't know if you can help us. And what you said, it was on corporate news about it. You know, there's a lot of discussions, I must say, have been going on around the misinformation about this. Professor Whitty, is that the guy, Professor Whitty?
Yeah. Yes,
there's a little boy. I mean, it was really disgusting what he was doing. Calling him a liar and all those sort of things. And, you know, it is difficult. Well, what the mother did anyhow, the mother took the PlayStation away from the boy. As a
that it?
Huh?
That was all the discipline?
I don't, you know, but it was, you know, listen, I'm not a person, I will push anything about anti-vax or anti-vaccine. This is me personally, unless I've got some evidence to say otherwise, and unless I'm a professional in that area. And I was speaking to a nurse. She's in Birmingham. And she, I know, was really a conspiracy theorist. And she said, "Sylbourne, let me tell you this. I'm in the hospital. A lot of black people. I can't wait for the vaccine." And she was just laying it out. I said, Black people need to realize that. I know she said that we had issues in the past. I know there was issues with the mistrust, but I'm seeing it. And she was off.
Well,
She was off for 3 months because she had a sickness which she had to sort out, which was
yeah, and
COVID. Yeah, sorry, yeah,
I was just saying that for some reason, I think our community really need to understand the depth and the seriousness of this. I had a young man who was said to me, he lived close to where I live, but his dad got the vaccine. Sorry, didn't get the vaccine, and he got COVID. He ended up in hospital, way far from where he is living. He couldn't go and see his dad because, of course, his dad had underlying conditions.
yes,
His mom ended up in another hospital with COVID. His dad subsequently passed away. He can't go and visit at all at the hospitals. And so people need to really recognize, when you weigh up the risk for your own health, not just yourself, but your own family members as well. And one of the things that people are saying in particular is that Black and ethnic minorities, a lot of time we are the ones on the front line. So that is the reason why we are more likely to get it than people who are working in the offices or things like that. They work in care homes, they work on, they're bus drivers, they're nurses, they care, So that's the reason why we really need to be taking this, and we really should be shunning the idea of even hearsay about the anti-vaccine, because it's such a serious consequence for us as our own families, our own livelihoods, that we really should be pushing for it.
yeah.
I completely take that point in terms of the effect or disproportionate effect on the Black community. I think the irony for me is that when you look at people who have had vaccines, especially in countries like the UK and USA to an extent, the Black community will have had a vaccine of some description, whether that be a tetanus jab or diphtheria or polio or something. And so what speaks to that point is what Sylbourne's talking about there. You mentioned somebody, a nurse, who's possibly a conspiracy theorist. I can't speak on her truth, but seeing is believing. And so, for example, if people really got to see what the effects of polio was, if people really got to see the effects of diphtheria, tetanus, I think they would really have a realization that vaccines themselves are not particular issues. And even if there are historic issues at hand in regards to the way that people have felt that the Black community have been treated in regards to vaccination policy, or at least medicine in the past, and I talk about experiments, etc. I don't have to go into that, but the point I'm trying to make here is in this particular part of the world, and I speak of Americas, I speak of Europe, we've had vaccinations, and we would have had them historically, and now we're tempering on the fact that we might not want this vaccination because of the historical issues because of vaccinations. To me, that doesn't quite add up in the way that we would try to avoid the issue of having the vaccination. But we cannot forget, obviously, the issues at hand in regards to the lack of trust for government, from certain persons within the community, or the issues with regards to previous harm that has come to particular communities in regards to medicine as a whole. I can't defend that, but what I can say is that vaccinations are there for a reason, and in this particular issue, there's a necessity as part of the exit strategy for COVID-19 to have a vaccine. It's for me, it's as simple as that.
Well, if I just bring in and Keisha and Keima can pop in here, and we got to call this out as we see it all the while. USA history. That's why Black Americans are reluctant to get into it, to talk about the historical factor. Earthwell Trade is actually saying people are reluctant to the COVID vaccine because of the side effects, and furthermore, Black persons are being targeted with vaccine forever. What's your take on that, David, from empirical evidence and study?
Well, that's what I'm saying, and that's why that's positivity. I'm going to keep smiling. Side effects, I touched on it. 1 in 3 people will get side effects, but look at it, glass half full. And the negativity to regards to having a jab, you're going to get a sore, you might have a temperature, etc., etc. So the significance of the side effects for me, from what I see and what's been recorded and what's been reported, on the whole, for everyone, The patients that I ask, I ask all my patients, because at the end of the day, I want to make sure they're aware the environments that I work in are safe. And I asked them, have you had the vaccine yet? And I know the answer because most of my patients are of the age that where they can have the vaccine. And I asked them, what side effects have you had? And it's few and far between. The fact that they're in the chair in front of me tells me that they had no particular side effects. So, or side effects that are significant. So that's the point I'm trying to say here. We've got to really look at people's objections, and that's fine. People have got to have objections. If you don't have objections, you're not asking questions, and the minute we stop asking questions is the problem. All right. So ask the questions, ask them away. But I'm here to give information, and the information I have in regards to side effects is null and void, really.
Well, one of the things that I also pick up as well is that a lot of the people who are actually taking the vaccine are not people of color, and someone thought it through and said, well, white people are not going to be killing off white people. So somebody said they were sort of rationalizing it in a certain way. And what the lady actually said from Birmingham is that, I know, she said, that Black people, we have the history, but really and truly, we also have to face the fact that there's a certain reality where we're dying off with the COVID. And I've seen some leaders in Birmingham, a very elderly, you might know her, David, she's with the diaspora. She's a preacher, a vicar, and she came out and she said, I'm speaking to my Black people, please consider this. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm saying, please consider this because it is killing us off, So all I can say is that everyone has to decide the choices that they make in life. But something I find very interesting, David, about the vaccine, though, and I put this one out. I keep hearing this bit about, even if you do not have an underlying, or you don't really need the vaccine, but it's like you're taking the vaccine to protect others. So therefore, it is like we all take the vaccine to protect others. It's like driving a car. You drive not just for yourself, you're driving for others to make sure you got to drive for that other bad driver. You got to be aware while you're driving on the street because somebody might bad drive you. So you got to be perceptive. How does that sound? How do people take that? I mean, I throw that one out. Taking the vaccine, not because you have underlying sickness, but it is to protect everybody else. Is that a fair statement, David? Do they say that? Have you heard that, guys?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I think that's. I think it's a right approach to take. Sometimes there's people who have had COVID and they've recovered well, but they've passed the infection, they passed the virus onto other people, and those people have passed away as a result of that. And so this is something they have to live with, because of course they know for a fact that because of them they live in the same household. They pass the vaccine, the virus on to other people. So I think when people are thinking about, I am not taking it, think not just for yourself, think about your wife, your husband, your household as well. That, if you go and get it and you might be all fine, you might be fit and healthy, but there's other people who might have, have underlying conditions, diabetes, have taken operations, and the immune systems might be very weak and that sort of thing. They might not recover from it. And that's the thing. And you don't want to be thinking, you don't want this to be felt on your conscience that because, I've been somewhere, I got the virus and I recovered, my family member hasn't recovered from it. So I think when people are thinking about, the vaccine, not just think about themselves, think about the circle, the people around them as well.
Yeah. I think Keisha or David, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, I mean, I think you could also flip it. You could say, look, I'm taking a vaccine to protect myself also, because we know that by taking the vaccine, you're going to reduce the chance of, number one, falling ill as significantly as you would had you not taken the vaccine. And then, the flip is that, hopefully, as part of that transition, and I've touched on it already, that you won't be able to transmit the virus as effectively as you would have previously, so reducing that transmission rate to the population. So it goes both ways. It's about protecting yourself, protecting the community, protecting your family. And again, that's the reason why we have vaccines around, to prolong life and to reduce the effect of a particular disorder or disease on you as a person. And your loved ones.
And shut up, feel good's Queen's title to colonize our brain. Well,
What
one
is
thing,
Moel trying to say?
Moral, can you put some sort of context in that there as well? All views must contain, all ideas must be shared. No side effects one side, but it's but it's also said that a vaccine that the USA president gets and black population is not the same in my view. Is how you know the vaccine are the same. I think we got to ask this question there. If no one takes the vaccine, is it that the COVID will just buy and say, I'm gone, guys? You know, what is the alternative, David?
The alternative is not taking it and having a risk that you will be able to fight off the infection. And that risk is obviously dependent on your comorbidities, how well you are, and the age you are in life. But then it speaks to the point of you passing on particular infections to other people, particularly. So there is a risk. And essentially, you know, as I said, we want to try and fight our way out of this particular predicament. You know, getting out of the fact that we have to wear face masks, we have to socially distance, all of those things. I'm not saying they're going to go by the wayside tomorrow, but at the same time, I would love the fact that we can look back to 2019 and say that was a time where the only thing we had to really think about was Brexit, but that was a better life for us all because at least we could all socialize. So that's the point I'm trying to make here. It's part of the exit strategy.
Okay, well, guys, you know, we've been talking about this for a while, and it will always be a forever issue as long as COVID, the terrorist, is around. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll just ask you this question: what can you say has been the positive aspect or impact of COVID in your life? Those also on Facebook and YouTube. What has been the positive?
Let me go. So last week you would have seen that I did not have this haircut. And I did this all by myself. I did it all by myself. Before anybody asks a question, I'm not above the law. So I will say for COVID,
I was just about to ask you, David.
Look at this. Look at this fade. Look at this fade. It's not the best fade. Yeah. I bought my own clippers, and I elected to just over the course of time. This is probably like the 5th haircut I've given myself, but it's getting better, and so I'm happy that COVID has taught me how to cut my hair. My barber's not happy, but I'm very happy.
Well, when your wife takes you to the barber when you're on lockdown, the barber is going to say, "What is this? What's this?" I'm speaking a true story here because my son, when he was little, I sort of messed around with his hair because he had hair, you know, cut it, and it was really a disaster. So we took him to the barber. The barber said, "What's this?" Literally, what's going on here? What is this?
Yeah.
So even though I got my clips, and of course it's easy for me to cut. I can't tell when last I've washed my hair. You know what I'm saying? But always they say. But listen, can we just go over to the States a bit? Because the fortress of Washington is now deemed to be a fortified city. The troops are there. What's going on in America? Can someone tell me? I can't tell last. I mean, it's boring now. The world is boring place. Do you think it's boring or is it back to normal? What do you say?
Well, the thing is, I haven't followed it as much now since Trump has walked away, faded away. The last thing I heard was that, you know, Biden is rescinding all of these bills that, you know, Trump has signed, and that's it. That's as far as I get to following what's going on now.
There was supposed to be an impeachment, as in how you know about that? Has it been finalized or not?
So now I'm the person who is the author. Is the person that well, apparently 45 Republican senators signed something saying that this is a sham thing. So therefore, definitely, it's not going to go ahead. When I say not going to go ahead, they're not going to succeed. Rather, and they're saying there's a constitutional crisis because how can you remove a president when he's not a president?
Pretty much,
you know.
I don't think it's not just about removing a president. It's removing the benefits or the privileges that are associated with a president, i.e., former president as well. So
it is
not just you have to actually technically impeach him in order for all these other aspects relating to impeaching him will take effect. That's what this is about.
And I think the other thing to say, whilst I'm not American, but I do try and keep up with what's going on across there, is if he is impeached a second time, then he cannot run for office. So it stops him personally becoming president again. If he wanted to try and do that, he can't do that.
Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, I correct you.
I think you're correct there. And
No. He's incorrect, because if he's impeached a second time, he wasn't impeached first. He was I'll put it this way: he was impeached or charged, but it didn't. He wasn't fined. He wasn't passed. Yes, so he wasn't impeached. But many people keep saying he's been impeached.
Yeah, but we know what David meant. I mean, seriously, Sylbourne. You know what he meant.
I have no idea what David meant. I'm a lawyer. Just because someone said something and because I know them and he's my good friend and I know his wife and family, I still have to say I don't know what David means. David, clarify that point.
Okay, well, let me try to help
myself.
David. So
I clarify myself. Trump Senior is not coming back. It's done. It's finished. Now, for the rest of the Trump family, who knows?
The office of the past president of America is at Mar-a-Lago.
Yes, he's
That's what they
enjoying
call
his
it.
job.
The office of the past president. But I must say it's a breathing space for Americans, though. I must say it's a breathing space, even though a lot of people are saying they have no idea what's going on there, what Joe is signing. He's just having these documents.
President.
What did I say?
You said Joe, as if you're like his friend down the road. You know?
My apologies. My apologies.
Yes, respect where respect is due.
Exactly.
President Sleepy Joe.
Earned his position, you know.
I mean, they used to call it a guy, the Orange Man. Come on, man.
I'm sure you refer to him as Mr. Trump. You know, Mr. Trump.
You know, Michelle said when they go low, we go high, right? So we don't have all of the talk that we used to hear in Trump days. Sleepy Joe and lock her up, that sort of stuff. That's childish behavior. It's out of the White House now. We have a serious president. Yeah.
All of the entertainment is over. And listen, this more than anything, boring. It's boring. The world is boring. There's no life. There's some flash. There's some fun in the whole thing. No. What's it? No, the character is over. Chum. The newspapers have nothing to say. CNN is boring. Tweedledee, Tweedledum, down lemon have nothing more to say. They cannot question. It's over. Zilch. Finished. Many journalists are losing jobs.
This is what I will say, Sylbourne. Listen, journalists can report on the news instead of the entertainment. It's been far too easy for the journalists for the past 4 years to report on things because the joke and comedy is just there. They're reporting on. It's not e-news, e-exclamation news. This is meant to be real news. This is real politics, real world news. That's what we want to see. If that's boring, it's boring. But let's not go into the entertainment. That's me speaking with my Dr. hat off. Just my personal opinion.
Okay. And Keisha?
Well, as long as it's not fake news, are we still allowed to examine whether these news broadcasters are fake or not?
Well,
continue.
The press office actually is just so nice. Everybody's just nice to the press lady, and nobody's scrutinizing. It's just,
exactly. It's just nice that everything is accurate and fine.
Everything is cool, man. It's coffee and Costa, right, David? Just have coffee.
Who wants the truth? Huh? Who wants the truth? So overrated, isn't it?
As they said, it's a joke. By the way,
the truth is that, and that's. I think this is something that the Trump campaign and Trump children have always been talking about big tech and big tech, and of course the Democrat now has the monopoly of what the truth is. So you have the Republicans; they have to be shunned away into some small backroom sort of media outlet. And so their version of the truth isn't really coming up. So now you sort of question what exactly is the truth for real. Is it because the Democrats said it is the truth, or is this what we defined as the truth, and that's what we want to hear, and we don't want to hear anything else? And so I think that's a bigger question going forward in terms of, and of course, when it comes to propaganda and news, it's really linked to democracy in the sense that this sort of information that we get is what sort of define who our next president would be. So if we have more of what the Democrat wants to hear, it's probably highly likely that we probably have another Democratic president, if you know what I mean. And so the question is whether the fairness of the conversation is there open for everybody. Is the major issue, and I think that needs to be looked at now.
I mean, things are very. I mean, it's so funny with the advent of the Trump region is finished over. You're having news coming through now, even like with in Myanmar, coup military blocks Facebook for sake of stability. So everybody's locking down Facebook because of Aung San Suu Kyi, the lady who is now under arrest again. I mean, that is going on, and I think Biden is ramping up to get into war and stuff like that. But before we go quickly, I just want to touch on a very sorry state, and I'm sure you guys may have seen.
Well, sorry, I was going to say. Oh, sorry.
No, please, David, go ahead.
No, I was going to say to answer your question, the impeachment. I was going to say to answer your question, the impeachment trial.
David, are you getting some messages from
Donald Trump?
Are you getting some messages?
If people are interested,
are you getting some messages? Because you keep going like this, like is Washington or someone feeding you some information? You keep going like that. Is someone feeding you information?
Yeah, I get a feedback. See, I've got my live link back here.
As long as it's not fake news.
This is one speaker for the Sylbourne show and one speaker for Washington.
As long as no one is infiltrating you with fake news, we're good to be happy.
Yeah, I want to make
sure we're fresh out of fake news.
Is David
fresh out of fake news?
Do you mute yourself sometime when you're talking? I make us think
he cut out.
No, somebody's probably messing me up.
We have not said anything against Rishi Sunak, so I don't understand.
No, I don't think we did it today, have we? Sorry, David. What were you saying?
You're saying something, David, and I think we keep slipping up with what you're saying.
What I was saying is I've got one speaker for Washington and one speaker for the Sylbourne show.
I think it was before that, the point that you said you wanted to raise, and you put your hands up.
It was the Senate trial. The Senate trial for Trump is next week.
Okay.
So if people are interested generally in Trump politics, he's still around. That geezer's still hanging around.
Well, okay.
And he's got a new legal team.
Okay.
And he's still very much influential in the Republican Party.
Okay.
So we know the likelihood that he'll be impeached is very, very slim. So, but it's still good to watch.
Is this like the positives of Trump?
What's that?
Is that the positives of Trump? Because I don't understand why you brought all that point in.
But no, we're
I
talking
brought it
about
in because Sylbourne asked the question. Sylbourne asked the question as to what's happened with Trump, what's happened with the impeachment, what's going on. We didn't answer the question, so that's what's going on. Sorry.
Okay.
Did you see what Maud says? Maudlin says next week.
Okay, some entertainment next week.
There you go. See?
Okay, guys.
Maud is feeding me in. That's it.
I like that. Fantastic. But I want to wrap up with this incident that happened in Jamaica. I don't know if you guys saw it. And it was a lady was in church and they were having service. And you only hear this gunshot, boom, 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 boom. Some guy actually was sitting behind her in church and shot her, killed her. I don't know if you guys have seen the Facebook Live.
I have. And it was horrifying. And the reason why it was really horrifying for me particularly because the song that they were singing to, at first, they were worshiping God. Yes. And I grew up singing that song. So it actually had, goosebumps because it was just genuine, pure worship. And then suddenly we start hearing gunshots. And then you see the face of those leading worship screaming out, in despair, completely distressed. Yes. And you see all that images, and then obviously you're told later that the person was shot instantly, dead right there and then. One gunshot killed that person. And it's horrifying, it's chilling. And I know I love Jamaica. I love the Jamaican people, but Jamaica needs to sort itself out because I think now we've reached to a peak where this cannot go on anymore. And I think the government of Jamaica needs to implement a state of emergency because if this is the type of level of wickedness that we're now seeing, I mean, church, you're going into a church, a temple of worship, and you're shooting up like that. I mean, I only hear these things happening in America. I've never seen that happening in the Caribbean before. They may have, I just never come across it. I've never heard it in the UK. But when you see these kind of things, and Christian people, Caribbean people, especially Christians in the Caribbean, there's a higher level of respect and honor for the place of, the things of God.
Yes.
And if this is where we get to, The only thing I can see is we're at a different level of wickedness. And Jamaica needs to get themselves together and implement a state of emergency and do some clamping down and do something to get rid of the violence. Because, for everything that you've achieved as a nation, your music, your culture, I mean, you're very much intelligent group people.
Yes.
You've done so much around the world. This is a sad indictment on the country. And this needs to be eradicated as soon as possible. I mean, it's really saddening to watch.
Yes, yes.
Horrifying. That's my commentary. I still love Jamaican people, but I gotta call it out.
It's interesting though, because one of the things that people are saying is that it's somewhat like for someone, a gunman, to feel so comfortable in going to a church and do that. It is as if to say they know that there won't be any repercussions. Do you believe? Can I tell you what happened? Apparently, he turned up to the police station with his lawyer.
He showed up
with his lawyer.
Wow.
Turn up with his lawyer. And apparently, it turns out that there's some land issues or some family issues, and apparently her stepson is involved with it. So it's what they call in Jamaica bangarang, in a sense, But it has put. I mean, every death is worse than the next death or so. So therefore, it's not as if to say her death is different from other person's death. But apparently, it struck a chord so much in Jamaica because years ago, as out of Jamaica, we never would have killing of children, killing of old people, killing in churches. Even gunmen pray before them go kill people at Jamaica. Literally, gunmen say, God, make sure we do this right. You know what I mean? Gunmen don't go to church, so it's reached to another level. I don't know, Keisha, if you got something to say, David. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's just tragic to hear something like that happen in Jamaica. The Christian community must feel, so saddened, because when you think, particularly in the Caribbean, Christianity, I don't know about you, it's serious. You know what I mean? If you go to church, I don't ever hear this before. You go to the temple of God. You want to pray to make sure God sanctify me first before I make sure because you fear that God might strike you down in church. You know what I mean? These are the kind of things that's the kind of you grew up in church like that. You respect the sanctity of church, and then to hear something like that happen in church, in Jamaica in particular, is just shocking. So it's a really difficult story to listen to. You hear this happens in the States all the time, but in Jamaica it's really, really hard to take in.
Yeah, David. On closing, what's your observation? I don't know if you've seen it, David. I don't know if you saw it.
No, I've not, and I'm going to just say one sentence, and that is, in the spirit of positivity, I'm glad that the person who is alleged to have undertaken this crime has gone to the police station and essentially booked himself in. I hope that there is a fair trial, but also, and I hope that the ultimate truth will be told, and those responsible will be brought to account. That's my degree of positivity. I don't want to say any more about it.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of information going. Well, guys, I think we have exhausted ourselves tonight. It's Thursday, and somehow the week I mean, you guys, we all work. I think we have always been working since this whole lockdown, isn't it? I know Keisha, you have your issues because you have diligently do what Boris said you should do.
Yeah. Unlike others, but there you go.
Yeah. And as for myself, busy with court still every day. Monday I have 2 hearings back to back.
But it's weird, Sylbourne, because apparently there's a backlog of court cases now.
Yes,
and everything is done like virtual. It's supposed to be very, very, very interesting. I'm actually thinking what would happen when everything goes back to normal, because I'm thinking a lot of people will be out of jobs, like all the court marshals, and you probably won't need all of those people anymore. But it'd just be interesting to see.
Because what is happening is that people they're thinking about keeping some aspect of these virtual court homes. One of the things that I had to start doing is, because you see the backdrop there, I'll do my hearing sometime in this room, and everybody get caught up and say, "Wow, where are you, Sylbourne? Are you in the UK? I love your backdrop." Even the judges. And I say, okay. So I switched, and I went downstairs, and I got a fireplace with a rustic look. Where are you now? And I said, oh my days. So I need to get something, because do you notice sometimes when you have these interviews on TV, people are caught up what is behind you.
Well,
What are you reading?
Well, it's funny you say that, because when sometimes they have the interviews with people via Zoom on Sky News.
Yeah.
I get distracted because I'm looking at what they've got in the background, the books that they're reading,
or what books they put up there for you to see.
See, yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So in the true spirit of bringing my work home with me, I've got a letter chart just over there on the wall to make sure I can read down the letter chart.
Well,
yeah.
So more says there are a lot of cases there.
Yes.
Virtual, but not tribes. Okay.
Yeah. Well, guys, listen. I want to thank you so much. We call it a day. Michelle and guys in the States, we wish you guys all the best regarding COVID. And I just hope that, especially in the States now, where the high level of mistrust which is happening, that people really think and, of course, make your decision as much as you can. And that's all I can say. And in the spirit of David, let's be positive, because the UK economy is opening. The UK economy is going great. The stock markets are going up. Except
Brexiters are happy.
Going up, yes.
Vaccinations going up.
Yes.
And
Money's gonna go
Brexiters are
up.
happy. All the trade deals that's been happening as a result.
I'm just checking trade 2 on 2 to see if AMC has gone up or GameStop was dropped, and they shut their account down again. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. Stacey, guys, on Instagram, thank you so much, on Facebook and YouTube, and David, Keima, and Keisha. Until next week. And as I said, I've been saying this thing: from my home to your home, from my street to your street, from my phone to your phone, from my city to your city, from my state to your state, and from my country to your country. And
it should be more formal than that. You should say my studio.
Oh, and then my studio to your studio.
My studio too.
My studio to your studio as well. And everybody out there, this was a good show. Thank you, guys. Before you go, let me just say bye-bye. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to Chris Brown and myself will be coming on again, and we'll be touching on a topic. I'm hoping for Sunday. I've been trying to do something on reggae week in Jamaica, which is reggae month, which has started. And I'm hoping I'm getting some links to some people. I'm trying to get Chensey. I'm trying to get Sean Paul. Actually, I've linked him with some people. So I'm hoping to get at least a couple artists and Babsy Grange, Minister, to do some interviews on a Sunday because of the reggae, and wanted to be a part of what's happening in Jamaica and some of the positive aspect. But without further ado, I want to thank you so much for joining on the show. And of course, what you can do is like and subscribe to the Sylbourne Show on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow Keima, follow Keisha, follow David, follow them all everywhere, all over the place. Even if you have to go to the hospital to follow David, just make sure your PPE wrapped up and everything like that. And and we can have a good one. So without further ado, have a good night and bless you.